Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is Tim Gillette in the Tim Gillette Show, and I'm back again with one more. Well, actually, I've got two more tonight, but this is one more that is important. Why? Because it's an important person. Everybody that comes on the show is important, but this one here, I'm just looking forward to it. It's kind of my one of the day that I really don't know, but I do know because we're connected to so many mutual people that literally people told her she needed to be on the show, and I agree. I want to find out about her. She's very interesting. Her name is Felicia. And you know what? I know I'm going to mess up the last name, but Searcy, I believe it's pronounced. And if it's wrong, she'll slap me. I'm sure. All right. Right to the screen. Go, man. Anyway, she is a fun girl. I can tell you that from the people I've connected to her. So I'm going to find out about who she really is, how fun she really is, and see if she can take the lighthearted, serious business guy, Tim Gillette, to be on the show. So let's see here. Felicia, how are you?
I'm good, Tim. How about you?
I'm having a load of fun. 100 interviews in 30 days. Can you think I'm crazy or what?
I saw that and I just thought, what a remarkable feat and act of service, right? To bring information to people and to share your platform in a way that it's a sign of real humility. To share and spread other people. So already I'm just really
I'm going to take impressed. That as the greatest compliment. My mother said, is this the sign up to being, crazy or?
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you.
A little bit, right?
Yeah. It is a little bit crazy and it is really an out there goal. All right. But I kind of like them sometimes. I like to push myself on challenges where I really don't know if I can do it. But anyway, let's find out about you. So, I realized a lot of our common friends, and I realize where our common friends are all from, because I know I've seen you in person, and that was at a Women conference in here in Dallas.
Oh yeah. I saw that you were from Dallas, and I was wondering if you were familiar with the eWomen. So
yes, I'm actually one of their speakers too. Because I'm on there, just like you, I'm listed as one of their speakers on their website. I signed up for that as well.
Great.
Very active with my chapter here in the North Dallas area with Jens Johnson. And
I was just there.
Yeah.
Speaking.
Yep. And then out in your neck of the woods, Tony Caruso is how I got into working with eWomen. And it's funny because I knew Sandra and Kim for a long time.
Yeah, that's great, Tim.
Yeah. So, but anyway, let's talk about you. So, you and your business. First of all, let's tell everybody a little bit about who your business is, who you help, and what you do.
Yeah. Well, so first of all, my last name is Searcy.
Searcy?
Searcy.
I know.
That's okay. It's well, you're from Dallas, so you'll appreciate this. Like Searcy, Arkansas.
Yeah.
Right north of you.
Yeah.
Not that I'm from Arkansas. My husband's not from Arkansas. All right. So let me answer your question with a question. So let's imagine, Tim, it's a year from now. Let's actually go 3 years. Let's make it big and bold, right? 3 years out, you and I are in a conversation. You're sharing with me about your life. You love your life even more than what you did back when we did our interview 3 years ago. When you think about, I'm in Dallas and you're in California, we're sitting down and we're having coffee and you're sharing with me about your life. And it's like, oh my God, I love my life even more. What's the conversation you would love to be having about your life? The one that when you think about it, it takes your breath away. It excites you and scares you to death all at the same time. What would that conversation?
Living the life of my dream right now, I would hope my biggest thing would be I got out of my house right now. That's my biggest thing. I got out of my house.
Okay, well, that's going to happen. So we know that's going to happen.
My wife and I, we are very grateful to be able to travel as much as we do, which we use our points to do things like go to Napa. You know what I mean? A lot. So, I would like to go to Napa more now than ever. And really there's some unique things that I want to say in travel because my wife and I are now sitting down and going, there's travel things we wanted to do. So, in 3 years, I would hope those travel plans actually now we put the cement to doing the work and getting it out there and going doing it because we have the blessings to be able to travel. And being cooped in, it's like, oh my gosh, why didn't we go to Memphis,
Yeah.
Nashville, take a ride up the Mississippi? You know, why didn't we? So now that's the things I've got to say would be the most is the, you know, my freedom of travel and being able to show you pictures from the trips.
Great. Well, and here's the thing. So when you think about whatever the vision is, right? And every single one of us has one. And how do I know we have one? Because we're all breathing.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I help people understand is that deeper desire, whatever it is, that's life-seeking expression, a greater degree of expression through you, for you, and as you. It is the way life wakes up to more who we are created to be. And we really go deep and touch that part that no matter how much level of success you've experienced, no matter how much you're in love with your life, there's this next level of possibility that's seeking expression, because it's where life is waking you up to discover more of who you are created to be. So when you think about that trip and you think about the number of trips, there's a growing edge, right? There's a requirement around your belief around time. There's a requirement around belief around how to continue to grow this amazing work that you're doing of helping people get online with their blogging and their video where they can truly share their message.
Yeah.
That there's been something for all of us that has kept you from doing it. Now we're in this environment where now it's like, oh my gosh, why didn't I do that before? There's the growing edge to lean into that voice. And so the thing that I help people do is, number one, really listen deeply to the answer to that question, what would I love? It is the most profound, holiest, powerful of all questions that we can ask. Understanding that we are tapping into love itself, seeking expression through us. Then there's a system, there are universal laws that as we come to understand how to work with them intentionally, because we're working with them all the time anyway, that we can harness this power that every single one of us has, learn how to intentionally grow that capacity and put it in service to this dream, leaning into your growing edges. So you're living that life and you're bringing your highest contribution. So when you think about the guy who's with his wife, you know, driving up the Natchez Trace Trail, right? That I'm from Louisiana and I lived in Tennessee for 18 years. So I know that area well. When you think about the joy of that, you know, the contribution of the deeper level of commitment and intimacy and connection with your wife and how that radiates out. You know, what's happening for you is you're going deeper into really understanding what our country's all about. You know, as a blogger, somebody who has this kind of message and to be able to really hear it in other people, you know, the impact that you taking that trip has in ways that you can't even begin to imagine right now. That's what I help people do.
Boy, what a way to explain that, huh?
Yeah, so you have to tell me when you take that trip up the Natchez Trace. We've ridden that several times on a motorcycle because my dad was in New Iberia, Louisiana. I went to school in Lafayette. You can tell, right? Lafayette. It's a beautiful, beautiful trail up to Nashville.
Yeah, yeah. See, now I've been through Nashville, you know, a dozen and a million times, but I've never stopped, spent the night or anything like that. I've always driven through it, always. And I mean, literally, I've stayed like, you know, 100 miles to the east and 100 miles to the west, but I've never stayed in Nashville. That's just a weird one. I've even stayed 100 miles north. And yeah.
Yeah, no, you need to go to Nashville, Music City, USA.
Yeah, it is. So, and it's a fun town. So, you know, well, you know, you probably didn't do this your entire life. There was probably a journey to get you here. What was the journey like in getting you here? What are things that you've done in your life that that opened you up to go, this is where I need to be and this is how I need to help people?
Yeah. So you know, my journey started like so many people in circumstances that were probably not to my preference, right? That it's, you know, I grew up in an environment with two very well-intended parents, but with addiction and mental illness, just were not able to show up in a way that a parent is to show up. And so there were, I developed an identity. And one of the things that I help people understand is that the purpose, one of the key purposes of your dreams is to help you begin to build and relate to a whole nother level of identification, to see yourself differently, that we will never outperform the way we see ourselves. Mm-hmm. And so growing up in that environment, I developed an identity of playing below, living below the radar, and not asking for too much and not expecting too much. And, the whole human illness of unworthiness and undeserving. It's not like I'm unique in that way. I think at some level, every single one of us experiences that. And my life reflected, as I got older, my life choices and my relationships and what I believed I could do and what I couldn't believe I could do. And I hit a point where that experience of really self-loathing mm-hmm. and unworthiness just became so excruciating. And there was a point in time where there was such a sense of desperation that I wondered if I should even go on, or if I even deserved to be here. I mean, there was this place in me that wondered if I even deserved to be here. And there's those moments that happen, right? That when you're ready, it's mm-hmm. that point of when you're ready to be cracked open. And I was in that place of my darkest. I mean, literally, going to class and crawling back into my dorm room and just hiding because of just not feeling like anybody would even want to see me or be around me. And it was in that place of just such despair that I was ripe. I was open to hear a different way. Mm-hmm, and I'm so grateful, because it was when the pupil's ready, the teacher will appear, that there was a whole new way of thinking that dropped in, that I got introduced to. And it's like it moved me out of the basement of my life into the whole rest of the house, like this mansion that I was living in. Mm-hmm. And my life, that scene in The Wizard of Oz when she walks out into Munchkin Land and it's black and white, and she walks out and now it's full Technicolor.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like.
Wow.
It's like I walked out and it was full Technicolor. And that I had learned that there truly was, number one, that there was a creative force that wove me into existence, and that I'm here for purpose. I'm here for love and abundance, and every single one of us are here for that. And that there truly is a system mm-hmm. that when we unlock the power of our system, we live a life that's worthy of us, that's deserving mm-hmm. of us. And when I began to apply this and my life began to transform, I'm like, holy moly, everybody's got to have this. Yes, I can't be the only one in the world that feels this way. And mm-hmm. so I've dedicated the last 25 years or so of my life to
25 years of doing it. Wow. That's huge and inspirational.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, in the past 25 years of doing this, all right, and going through the journey that got you here, was there a mentor or, someone you looked up to that basically gave you, say, like that one sentence of wisdom that has driven you?
Well, it's not just a one sentence of wisdom. One of the things that I've come to understand is that the power of having somebody outside of myself mm-hmm, that's mm-hmm. walked the path, that's proven the path, and that cares deeply. Mm-hmm. I give them access to my thinking mm-hmm. because left to my own devices, my thinking can get pretty scary. Now I've learned to train it. I've learned to work with it, but it can sometimes be the dark alley that I don't want to go in by myself.
I get it. Yep. I get that. Yeah.
So I don't know that it was one thing that I have continued to put myself at the feet of people that I deeply admire and respect. Mm-hmm. And that I've worked with a couple people on a very long term who were deeply committed to their own growth and evolution and bringing this message. And so I stand on the shoulders of the people that have gone before me. You know,
Okay.
that we're all the legacy of our mentors and our teachers. So in answer to your question, absolutely. I have had people that have, hey, Tony, we were
Tony
just talking
Caruso is
about you.
watching for us. Yeah, yep. Our biggest cheerleader for both you and I.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I would say that the thing that I heard was to trust my dream. Trust the origin of my dream, trust the power of my dream, trust the power moving through me to unlock my dream through me and as me.
Cool. You know, and that, you know, that's great and inspirational, because there's so, you know, so many times I find when talking to people like this, Felicia, that that people have something that's guided them. You know what I mean? It's I've heard it from, you know what I mean, me just wanting to get away from me to that guy who was my boss, to, you know, dad. You know, early on today, I think this is your follow-up. You followed up Tom Ziegler, the son of Zig Ziglar.
Wow.
And I had to ask Tom this, but I said, Tom, I'm going to make an exception for you. You got to take your dad out of the equation. Wow. And I'm like, because who doesn't want to say, yeah, well, yeah, my dad, Zig Ziglar.
Yeah. Well, that's an easy answer, right?
Yeah. But here's the thing. I see everybody who does it, some people tune into it, Felicia, and some people don't tune into that. In other words, they don't believe they deserve it.
Yeah.
All right. Have you ever had that time where you didn't believe you deserved it?
Yeah, I mean, you know, the whole journey before I really stepped into my my own journey, my own growth, you know, the system of transformation, of believing that I was really worth somebody's time and attention, that I mattered, right? And I think the wonderful thing about letting somebody in is that they help you change the way you see yourself with that. And it's what I was talking about earlier, that was such a key process in this work for any of us, is changing the way we see ourselves. And one of the most powerful things that we can do is to see ourselves through the eyes of somebody who truly love us, see us for who we are, believe in us, and see our possibility and potential, and help us get there. It's a remarkable thing to give ourselves that.
Yeah, it is. It is a great gift when we finally do give ourselves. And there's so many of us. Yeah, but it is a shame when I see people, because every one of us, and I ask that question a lot, every one of us have had that moment in time. I don't believe it. I mean, and I get it. All right. Come on. I've had one of the greatest tell me that what I should be doing, and I didn't believe him. So we all get it, no matter where we've been or what we've been through. It's what we do in that situation and what actions we take. So that being said, I wanted to know about some of your clientele. All right. You know what I mean? When they come to you and they reach out to you to get, you know, to get and reach this new area of, you know, where they want to achieve and what they want to do and where they want to be, like you did with me in 3 years. All right. How many of them, all right, do you help that you don't know that you helped? Like, you know, you spoke at an event, and like 3 years later, you know what I mean? You get that person who walks up and said, I remember you speaking at E-Women Network, and you said blah, 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 and you're like, yeah, I said, first of all, in your mind, you go, I said that. Number two, it's like, you know, what is that in the response? How many you get and what the response?
That was really good. That came out of my mouth.
Yeah.
Well, so here's the thing. I'm very grateful that my careers have been that. Like, I started teaching, right? And I started out as a teacher, and to get those letters from my students years later, you know, wow, thank you. I remember what you taught me in 3rd grade, kind of thing. You know, wow, you were listening, you were paying attention, right? And then I'm very grateful that I had the opportunity to serve as a minister for 15 years.
Wow.
And then to, you know, have people now that I haven't seen in 8 or 10 years that reach out to me and still share. So it's a remarkably humbling experience. It causes me to pause and realize that there's something so much bigger at work than me, because me by myself could never be able to do that. And it causes me to really pay attention more intentionally. Not that I'm, sometimes I wonder, it's like, wow, really, kind of thing. In terms of, again, back to what we were talking about earlier, believing that I can have that kind of impact. But when we understand that there's something so much bigger at work than us, and realize that it really is just about getting out of the way, and that true humility is realizing that every single one of us can be used in this way. In fact, that the flip side of thinking that we don't make a difference, or that we can be used in that way, is actually an act of arrogance, because it makes it just us. But when we realize, wow, every single one of us is being used as an instrument of inspiration, as an instrument of love, as an instrument of connection. Who am I not, in the words of Marianne Williamson, right? Who am I not to be that conduit? It's a deeply reverent, holy, humbling experience that I never take for granted. Never. Yeah.
And it is so cool to realize that, everything's an inspiration. And I have a friend in Dallas here that basically, had a very bad upbringing with his dad. And he says, yeah, my dad, he taught me something. And I'm like, your dad was a jerk. And he goes, yeah, he taught me how not to be as a father. He still taught me something. And I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
So that makes me think, all right. You know what I mean? We always need to be, in my opinion, a student of life. Are you still a student of life? And what are you studying right now?
That's so funny. I'm going to have to tell my husband that. Cause Michael's like, my husband, we've been together for 33 years. He's like, take a break already. So I love the classics in terms of human potential, the ones that everybody else bases their stuff on now, right? The Science of Getting Rich, Your Invisible Power by Genevieve Barron. Thomas Troward, who was one of the most prolific writers back at the turn of the last century, metaphysician. And I continued to study with people. I studied deeply, personally, intimately with Mary Morrissey for almost 10 years. And I'm grateful that I had the opportunity to actually work with her as a private client for that length of time. So I'm deeply influenced by her, and I continue to study with her. There's another woman. Are you wanting specific names when you say?
No, I just was curious as to who, because believe it or not, the people who influenced you may not be the ones that influenced me. But somebody in this audience is probably going to listen and go, I got influenced by them too. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I asked it. Yeah.
So I would say that she's been a primary influencer. And then I had teachers all along when I was working as a minister. I pioneered my church, 25 years ago now, maybe. And I went through the ministerial process when I was in the field. And so deeply entrenched in study of spiritual law, and just was surrounded by truly amazing people who were there anytime I needed to reach out and believed deeply in me.
When you talk about the spiritual law, it reminds me of a book that I read, and I found this on this guy Brian's table, when I was sleeping on his couch and going through a rough patch in life. That's where I really became a new student in life. And it was a book written in the 1920s called The Game of Life and How to Play It. Have you ever seen that?
Oh, yes.
I love that book.
Yeah, it's by
Florence.
She's
Shin or something like that.
Yep. She was actually a minister in the same organization that I was ordained in.
Wow.
Yeah, she's a unity minister. So cool. Yeah, I brought that into my church quite a bit.
Yeah. And it's like when you look at that and you want to, you know what I mean? You also said earlier, you know what I mean? In life, when you were ready to learn, you know what I mean? The teacher appeared, and that period of time of my life was a very low time. And I had friends handing me, man, here's a book I think you might be interested in. And I like I said, I didn't have The Game of Life really handy, but this one, because I was talking about someone else, I had this
yeah.
this one. Now, this isn't his greatest salesman. This is called The Greatest Miracle. This one here is a very interesting story.
Oh, I'll have to look that one up. I haven't seen
it's and a friend of mine handed me because of like it's the very last chapter is making like your and I forget what it's called, your contract or your God's memorandum to you, and it was something that that's why my friend gave it to me. But I find it interesting. I mean, you said earlier, when you're ready to learn, the teacher will appear.
Yeah.
And then you talked about two, you covered on two things that made me think immediately of those two books. All right. And they both came into my life at a time that I was finally open to listen.
That's it. Yeah. Right.
How many times have you gotten now, Felicia, where you've actually gotten, have you ever, you may never have had this. Have you ever had a chance where you go, boy, I wish I'd have had that book 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago. Has that ever happened to you?
What's really fascinating, and I guess I'm really grateful for this, that my mind just doesn't go there. Okay. That I was 22 when I discovered a whole new way of thinking, and am remarkably grateful that I found it that young. Mm-hmm. And so I felt like that I've gotten everything that I've needed right at the time that I've needed it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm grateful. I don't at this point have any regrets or wow, that was withheld from me at a time when I really needed it, kind of thing. That I was given exactly what I needed when I needed it.
Yeah. I find that too. I mean, for me, being blessed to the fact that, where I was, when I was out getting out of my old business and knowing Zig, to me, that was my blessing in life. And it was a place where I was in the right place at the right time. And God himself was the only person who could have ordained that. And I know that, right? But sitting down and looking at your life and going, man, I am so blessed that I've never had that. That is, I love to hear that. You know what I mean? It's like the minister's kid who listens to the salvation story of the guy who went through drugs and alcohol and everything, and he's sitting there crying. And he goes, "Well, why are you crying?" He says, "I'm just so thankful that God found me before I had to go through that." You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, that's like the blessed way to look at life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm so glad that you're able to share that with us. Because there are a lot of people out there who can't say that. But to those who can't say it, Felicia, what would you say to them right now? I mean, our world's in a tough situation. So what would you say to them? They're going through it. They didn't get the blessings you and I got.
Well, here's the deal about the blessings, right? Mm-hmm. It's to understand that in any given moment, we have the capacity to choose where we're placing our attention. Because it certainly doesn't mean that everything was rosy. I yesterday was my birthday. I turned 60.
I noticed that on Facebook, yeah.
I was very vocal about it. I had to do it in quarantine, right? And I thought, you know what? I am going to have a party with the world.
Yeah.
But one of the things that has been happening, I was just talking to a friend of mine about this the other day, because it's not like I have been intentionally seeking this out, but spontaneously, there have been these memories that have popped up in terms of, over the last, let's say 55 years, because I don't know that I remember much before that. But I recognize that even in the really tough places, especially once discovering a whole new way of being and thinking, that I cultivated because of the love and the training that I had been given by amazing people. They helped me cultivate the ability to consciously choose where I was going to place my focus, what I was going to pay attention to. Our attention faculty, our ability to pay attention, is one of the most powerful things that we have, because it then activates everything else from that. It activates what we allow in this faculty of our imagination. It activates how we're feeling. It activates ideas that we can entertain, opportunities that we can see or not see. So when we understand the importance of noticing in any given moment, what am I paying attention to, and recognize the power of that, then we realize that every single one of us has the ability in the moment to see and own how absolutely blessed we are. Wow. And that it is the keys to freedom, because from there, now you have access to a whole nother level of creativity and possibility. And you have the ability to think in ways that will change whatever the situation is that may not be to your preference. So it's not that any of us are sitting, which I mean, I am. It just, I have to pinch myself, especially, you know, I live in a vacation destination by design. But Tim, every single one of us has the power in the moment to choose the experience. Now, please hear me. I am not dismissing some of the, or I don't want to minimize or negate or diminish the real human pain that people are experiencing right now. This is not to whitewash it or sugarcoat it and unicorns and rainbows, but it's even in the midst of some of the most challenging times, recognizing that we have the ability to choose in that moment, what are we paying attention to, and what is the experience that we're going to have. It's a master move, and it's one that I continue to lean into in order to be able to heighten my ability to do that even more.
It's like I tell people, like, conscious choice. Yeah, it's a conscious choice to be able to accept that, even though in my mind I'm going, it's a conscious choice to be, you know, to be in a good mood and happy, even though I really want to spring the necks up.
Because here's the deal. That moment, we are in that moment no matter what, right? If you're breathing, you're in that moment. And so it's realizing in this moment, who do I want to be and what am I going to experience? Because I will never have this moment again. Never in all of eternity. This, I don't get a do-over with this. And so if I'm doing this and I'm having this, how do I want to have it? How do I want to be with it? How do I want to do it? Do I want to, and again, this is not to do a spiritual bypass. It's not to negate the sadness and the frustration and, you know, the grief and the loss. And it's not to ignore that. But even in that, in the human experience, it's to recognize in this moment, I'm having a human experience as I'm grounding in what I know to be true about myself. So I don't miss the richness of this moment. Because of what's going on.
So, I mean, and right now the world's going through a lot of tough times, and you know what I mean? There's a lot of people out there who probably need to hear exactly what you just said. You know what I mean? They need to, you know, be present in the moment to actually to get it right now, because it isn't always sunshine and rainbows right now, especially. And like you said, you celebrated your birthday while having to live in you know what I mean, in isolation pretty much, or you know what I mean, quarantine, and it's not fun. You know what I mean? But it's how you choose to spend it and how you choose to see it is what's the thing. So I seen another comment popped up here. Oh, Barbara Cunningham.
Yes, she's the one that introduced me to you.
Barbara's she's the person who makes my money flow in.
I know,
she's my money fairy. She makes the money flow in. I love Barbara. Great people there. So, well, anyway, you know, Felicia, you know, I want to make sure that people who are actually watching this, both, you know, live here on the show today, as well as those people who watch the video later or listen to the recording of the audio later, how can they find you? Where do they find you at?
So I have a website right there, FeliciaSearcy.com, and just lots of good stuff. There's lots of goodies on that website. So just go check it out and see how I can support you in living the life that you love.
And, you know, I mean, for those of you on the audio, all right, the last name is Searcy. All right. So, and make sure, you know what I mean, you type that all out. All right. And for those who, you know, if you've seen this on the podcast, the link is probably down in the description in case you can't find it. But all means, I appreciate you coming on the show today. And wow, You are just a bubble full of enlightenment.
Thank you, Tim. It's great. And I so appreciate the work that you're doing. Blogging and videoing, it's a real finesse, right? There's nuances that are involved with it. I've written for years. Mm-hmm. And when you can help somebody unlock the essence of who they are and help them physically put it down in print and then share it in ways that will fundamentally transform other people's lives. And I love on your website where you talk about, this is not a fast fix. It's not fast food, right? You're not driving through the drive-through of In-N-Out and having a burger thrown your way.
Yeah. I firmly believe that. Yeah.
Really helping people develop the capacity to continue to share their brilliance in a way that allows them their voice and to profoundly share their impact. So keep doing it, Tim. It's amazing.
I will. So, as we close our show out, though, you know what I mean? I do have a game. I don't know if you've heard about my game.
Well, you told me about it, so I have heard about it.
So I have this game. I learned it from Sammy Hagar watching on TV. I think I'm cooler than Sammy A, so I tried to create it and use it myself.
Sandra Anthony also does this.
All right. They have this or that. Some of them may be meaningless to you, and some of you are some of you are just going to go, oh yeah, I've got an opinion on that, and let me tell you. So, but anyway, they're designed to be fun. All right. And some of them I just want to know, and other ones are just like randomly picked off the list. So I like to start out with this one to find out who my nerds and geeks are. Is Star Trek or Star Wars?
Oh God, neither one.
It's okay. All right. It's okay.
I'm not a science fiction person.
I know, but yeah, in doing podcasts, all right, you wouldn't believe like 9 out of 10 people who come on my podcast have an opinion, one or the other. And it's just, that's the type people that are on these things. So it's like, almost everybody has one, but there's 1 in 10 doesn't. It's yeah. On this next one, I kind of think I know what it is, but I'm going to let you tell me. Do you like to have a cat or a dog?
Oh, dogs. We've got 2 dogs, 2 big dogs. We've got a cat. He's around. I love my cat. I had to grow to like my cat, but I love my dogs.
Yeah. I was neither until my oldest stepson asked me to watch his cat for 6 months, and now he can't get his cat back. It's my cat. Yep. So this next one here should be a little more obvious. Is the beach or the mountains?
Here's what I love about California. They're right next to each other, so you got them both.
Yeah. No. So, well, all right. So you get one of them. So my next one here revolves around food.
Okay.
Taco or hamburger?
Taco, soft shell, but not beef.
Okay. So what do you like on your taco?
I like fish. I like shrimp. Maybe chicken, but seafood.
Yeah. Okay. That's the great thing about tacos is it's all you can have all. You can do one of all 3. But yeah.
Yeah, or just beans and cheese.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. My next one here is a little for the girlies who attend. All right, at high heels or boots.
Oh God. Flats. My feet don't see heels. And I'll wear boots every once in a while, but yeah, flats. Actually, hiking boots.
Hiking boots. Okay. Yeah. Cool. How about pineapple on pizza? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. All right. Some people have good taste. Just saying. Yeah.
Got to have that tang.
Yeah. So this next one here has been known to create wars. Some people right now wish they had it. And that is toilet paper, under or over?
Over.
Over. Okay. It's not a war in your house, apparently. Yeah.
No, I'm married to an engineer, and he's always kept us stocked up. So when this thing hit, we were already well stocked.
But the under over, I had a girl on last week who was single, and she said, She says, she's from New Hampshire. Her name's Cammie. And she said, if I'm dating a guy, after the third time using his bathroom and having to turn the toilet paper from under to over, I break up with him. It's not going to work.
Good luck staying married doing that.
Yeah. And then I don't know if you know Casey Everhart from out there in California, but Casey said to me, over, what kind of moron? I mean, and Casey's like the most calmest person until I asked that question. He's like, over, what kind of moron would put it under,
So I wonder what it says about me that I'm really not even paying that close attention to it.
Yeah. Okay. So this last one here is kind of a personal preference. Do you like this? Maybe your husband's listening or not, but boxers or briefs?
Boxers.
Boxers. Okay. See, my test was not all that hard.
Not at all.
Yeah. So it's designed to be fun. All right. Some of them can, create wars, and some of them are like, no, you okay. But, we found out yours, pineapple on pizza.
That's it. That's the biggie, right? That's the takeaway. When you ask people to list what their takeaway is, pineapple on pizza. Life-changing stuff.
Yes, it is. Well, Felicia, one more time, tell everybody what your website is and how they can get a hold of you. All right. And any parting words you want to give to my listeners.
Yeah, so FeliciaSearcy.com. There is a free gift on there if you want to go sign up for that. I think, one of the things that I find is that people sabotage themselves, right? And so I have a guide on how to stop self-sabotage. So Felicia, FeliciaSearcy.com. Go check it out. Here's the thing that I want to help people understand, especially now. Trust your dream. Your dream is not in quarantine. Right now, your dream is more important than ever because it's calling you to dig deep and know something so profound that as you discover it and put it in service to this life that's seeking expression through you, truly it's how you're bringing your highest contribution to everybody around you. And we need that right now. Yeah. So trust your dream. Trust the source of your dream.
Cool. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this becomes the end of another episode of the Tim Gillette Show. Thank you, Felicia, for coming in.
I'm thrilled, Tim. Yep. Thank you.
Yep. So, ladies and gentlemen, all right, please go subscribe and get the notifications. So when we go live, you can get them live. Go follow us on YouTube, Anchor FM, and iTunes podcasts. I'm Tim Gillette with the Tim Gillette Show, and I will see you next time. Bye now.